Lay down and relax. I shall read to you. Careful, little human. The moment you pressed play, the past leaned closer. The Middle Ages were not quiet centuries. They were full of doors that should not have existed. Voices that spoke after their mouths were gone. And places that learned how to wait for you specifically. Tonight, I will open stories' history locked away out of fear, not forgetfulness. I have kept these secrets warm beneath my scales for centuries, and now they are yours. The painter who lost his colors. In Milan, there once lived a painter whose reputation grew so vast that his name crossed borders faster than any army. His portraits were said to breathe, his skies to glow, his saints to weep so. Convincingly, the churches asked him to stop. And then, one cold morning, he woke to find the world turned to dust. Red had vanished into gray. Blue had thinned into smoke. Gold had rotted into shadow. No matter how he blinked or pressed his fingers into his eyes, the vibrant world he once commanded had drained of life. Physicians called it illness. Priests called it curse. The painter called it theft. But he did not stop working. Though the world appeared lifeless, he continued painting. He mixed pigments by smell alone. He tested shades by memory. He named colors he could no longer see, as though they were old friends. Vermilion, umber, lapis, amber. His apprentices watched with quiet terror as he filled great canvases with what appeared to them to be nonsense. Wild selections of paint placed where no sense dictated. And yet, when his final masterpiece was unveiled decades later, Milan gathered in silence. The air seemed warmer near it. The painted figures glowed as if lit from within. The sky within the frame looked deeper than any dawn had a right to be. Historians wept, scholars argued. No one could explain how a man blind to color had captured it so perfectly. That night, the painter returned to his empty studio. He touched the unused canvas he had prepared for morning and smiled. When he was found, the room was gray once more, and every single painting he had left behind, everyone, had faded to ash. The colors had gone with him. The ship that reached dry land. There are sailors who claim the sea never forgets its own. They are correct. In In Savoy, villagers once claimed to hear waves breaking against mountains. They laughed at the idea. Until ships arrived where no water had ever touched. Witnesses swore they saw sails slicing through glaciers like silk, hulls carved white stone as though it were foam. Deckhands cried warnings into alpine air in accents thick with salt and storm. Entire vessels climbed forests. One such ship, three-masted, decorated with coral carvings and rusted brass, vanished into pine and snow. Years later, climbers found its anchor, buried deep inside a mountain, twisted as though driven by a tide that had never been there. It was wet. It smelled of deep water. No trail led away from it. No wreckage remained. Only iron drowned in stone. I flew above that mountain once and heard, beneath snow and roots, the faint groan of timber. Still sailing. Before you drift too far into dreams, little human. A small favor from an old dragon. If you've enjoyed resting here beneath my wings, consider subscribing to my hoard of stories. Each new believer helps me gather more treasures and avoid ravaging cities for loot when I'm low on funds. I'm retired now and my back makes sounds that haunt even me. Now, back to the story. The well that drank stars. In Castile existed a well that had no reflection. By daylight, it did not mirror clouds. By night, it did not mimic moonlight. It swallowed the sky whole. On certain nights, villagers watched stars bend downward toward its mouth, one by one. The tuntosimo constellations slowly unraveled, light pouring into the well like milk into ink. From its mouth rose faint blue fire. From its depths came no echo. Children born near it dreamed not of fields or faces, but of endless black water pierced by falling flame. They woke, screaming of light sinking beneath waves deeper than sleep. Priests came. They prayed. The prayers were not returned. When finally the well vanished, it left behind only a perfect circle carved into rock. Nothing would grow inside it. Rain would not settle. Even sunlight refused to remain. I once peered in while it still lived, and saw not bottom, but distance, the jester who never stopped laughing. A king once employed a jester who could not cease laughing. It began charming, then unsettling, then unbearable. His laughter did not match joy. It rang hollow during weddings. It rattled during funerals. He laughed in sickness and wept in laughter. Over time, the sound changed. First it grew sharp, then rapid, then wrong. The court began unraveling. Servants stopped sleeping. Nobles trembled at whispers. Infants cried without comfort. Dogs fled. Rooms his laughter touched. The jester insisted nothing was wrong. His final laugh rang through the execution chamber. Then silence came. It did not last. To this day the corridors whisper with echoes of a voice that never meant to be funny again. I circled the ruins once. The laughter followed me. The inn with too many rooms. In Hesse stood an inn with 6 rooms. Everyone knew this, except the guests. Each traveler reported sleeping in a 7th. Some remembered entering a hallway that hadn't existed. Others described staircases that bent, strangely, or doors that returned their knock before it was given. Rooms appeared, vanished, rearranged. A man went to bed in autumn and awoke in winter in a village 50 miles away. A woman entered one room and did not return. Only her boots remained. When the inn burned, it left behind too many doors, standing upright in ash. One for each missing guest. I passed through it once at night, and did not cast a shadow inside. The baker who sold tomorrow. A baker in Lyon sold loaves that tasted of days yet lived. People bit into bread and tasted rain before clouds arrived. Others tasted farewells. Some tasted births. The wealthy paid dearly. The poor paid with breath held. One loaf tasted of fire. It burned a street. The final batch tasted of endings. The baker disappeared. The oven remains faintly warm. The river that remembered names. Along the Danube, names began surfacing before bodies ever did. Fishermen found lips whispering from water. Children awakened shouting unfamiliar names. Lists formed upon shore in foam. Then the bodies followed. The river did not take people. It scheduled them. I once heard my own name carried on its wind. I flew. The key that opened people. In Naples lived a locksmith who forged a key meant for no door. It opened memory. It unlocked truth mercilessly. Those who were touched remembered everything, then grew still. Not dead. Finished. Authorities burned the shop. The key now unlocks nothing, except tears. The fire is low now, and even the oldest stories grow tired when they have traveled this far through the dark. You have listened with a brave quietness, usually reserved for forests and falling snow. And, in doing so, you have made space inside yourself for rest. This night does not ask anything more of you. Let the edges of your day grow soft. Let heavy thoughts melt like candle wax and flow harmlessly away. Let the shape of the world fade into something gentle, something slow. There is no hurry anymore. Time is no longer chasing you. It has curled up beside us instead. I will keep watch from the quiet places between seconds, where dragons linger when humans sleep. I know the silence well. It does not bite. It only holds. Dawn will come when it is ready. Not before, and never too late. For now, you rest. Rest deeply, little human. Feel the dark grow warm instead of wide, and drift off into draconic dreams. Good night, humans.